Monica de la Cruz joining us. I think congratulations are in order, Monica. The big news, hey, the water is going to be written over from Mexico to the U.S. So that the water debt issue has been solved, at least for this cycle. And for folks that have not heard, the huge news for business, for agriculture in South Texas, Congresswoman, I'll let you do the honor. So tell me what happened late last week.
Well, the president of Mexico finally bended the knee and said that they will immediately give water to the Rio Grande Valley as per the 1944 water treaty. As you know, Sergio, they are 1.3 million acre feet of water in debt to us. That's enough to give the city of Houston water for 3 years. And it's been devastating to our community, but specifically to sugarcane, where we lost that industry in South Texas. So this is great news. The Mexican government has admitted that they are far in debt when it comes to water, and B, that they're immediately going to give us water.
Let's look at, as you mentioned, we have a Santa Rosa sugarcane mill that we lost. And I think Texas A&M did a study on the cumulative losses to agriculture in South Texas, like close to $1 billion. That's like huge losses. For those people who lost out, for the sugarcane mill, the jobs lost, for that industry that's gone too little, too late. Now, what about damages? What about a follow-up? And is there any potential for them forking over something else in order to make up for these losses? Did you hear anything from the White House?
Well, losing our sugar industry is devastating for this area. It devastated us in ways with the economy. As you said, millions and millions of dollars lost. Plus, this was a generational farm, and we have lost the farm, and we've lost, very sadly, the jobs. Now, can you imagine my frustration, Sergio, because I brought this up to the Biden administration in the last Congress, and they did absolutely nothing to help us. And just like you said, a little too late. Unfortunately, President Trump is barely coming in, and in 3 short months made great strides in holding the Mexican government accountable. But really, Biden's failure failed the people of South Texas, and it's very sad. Now, what I can tell you, although money does not replace the industry, last month we were able to announce with Secretary Rawlins $280 million that is coming to the Rio Grande Valley, to our farmers along the border that are devastated by the Mexican government not giving us water. So they will get some economic and some money for their losses.
Do you know how and when the payment of this debt by Mexico will take place? Is it immediate? Will it be gradual? And do you think it's going to help this growing season? What do you hear from the frontline farmers that you represent?
Well, number one, we heard from the White House that it's immediate water deliveries, and from the president of Mexico, Secretary Rawlins is right now in negotiations with the foreign minister and the Secretary of Agriculture for the Mexican government. So I believe that we are going to hear details of their plan very quickly, and I would not be surprised if it would happen in the next couple of days. So the pressure is on the Mexican government, and they know that they need to make this water delivery immediately. I spoke with farmers on Friday who were over the top excited that they have water coming, and their hope is to receive the water by summer. As you know, the summers down here in South Texas are scorching hot, and thus a lot of water is used. And Sergio, we talk a lot about the farmers, but this has a great impact on our municipalities as well, where oftentimes they share their water with the farmers because the farmers don't have water. So this is going to greatly impact our communities, homes like yours and mine. And so the county judge is excited as well as the mayors too.
Do you know, by the way, our guest right now, our Congresswoman for our Mid Valley is Monica de la Cruz. Big news on Friday. Mexico has, as she said, it's true, it bent the knee finally on this water debt issue, the threat of sanctions and real action by the Trump administration a few days prior to that. Part of the 1944 water sharing treaty, or linked to that, is the U.S. providing some water from Colorado River. And he said, no, the president said, no, that's not going to happen until we figure this out. Then, of course, last week we heard about potential more sanctions, more tariffs against Mexico because of the continuing water debt. And Mexico City said, yeah, let's whatever we owe, we're going to hand it over. We're looking forward to getting details of that. Do you know if the Colorado River issue has been resolved as well, where Mexico gets delivery of that? Did they tell you?
So that was all President Trump. Look, us getting water is a huge win for farmers, a huge win for South Texas, and a huge win for the United States, because ultimately food security is national security. And what the secretary said, Secretary Rubio, was that if Mexico does not give us our water as per the 1944 water treaty, then we were going to stop water deliveries from the Colorado River. And I think that was part of the push, as well as President Trump simply tweeting out, hey, we're going to give Mexico more sanctions, more tariffs if they don't give our South Texas farmers the water that they deserve as per the 1944 water treaty. And Sergio, you have to see that this has been a problem since 1944, over 70 years. And this area, our district, has been under Democratic control all of this time for 70 years. The farmers have been complaining about the exact same thing. And what did our Democrat representatives in South Texas do? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. It wasn't until myself and my team were elected in 2022 that we started to ring the bell, and ring the bell loudly, with legislation on the House floor that successfully passed, a House resolution holding the Mexican government accountable for what they owed us. The first time ever that this was discussed on the House floor. And now with the White House, President Trump taking bold, courageous action to hold the Mexican government accountable. It took 70 years, a Republican Congresswoman, and a bold, courageous president, President Trump, to finally say enough's enough. Give us our water or we're going to sanction and tariff you. That now the Mexican government is complying. It's an exciting time for South Texas.
Valley Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz, Mexico has decided to pay the U.S. its entire debt of water under the 1944 water sharing treaty. This after President Trump tightened the screws on Mexico City. And on Friday, we heard, all that water is coming to South Texas, and be fascinating to see what the ownership will be on the U.S. side and the water allocations. We need to, I'm reminded of what the president said during the speech that he gave before the both houses of Congress, where he said, people said it couldn't be done, people said it couldn't be done, and that we needed this, we needed that, we needed legislation, da, 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 da. It seems like all you needed was a different president, a new president, to get it done. That's how he got it done. Listen, for the future, we need some teeth in this treaty. Do you know if it will still be, this water sharing treaty will still be brought into the fold of the USMCA negotiation near future to make sure that we don't get in this situation again?
So that's step 2, and we have already begun working on that discussion. We're talking to Secretary Rubio's team and the White House legislative team on getting the USMCA to also have the 1944 water treaty within the USMCA, because you're exactly right. There has to be consequences to Mexico giving us or not giving us the water that we deserve. So that's step two. We're already working very, very hard. We're working with the Library of Congress to pull wording and other information that can help support the transition of the 1944 Water Treaty from being a standalone treaty to being part of USMCA. And I believe under President Trump that this will happen.
Well, congratulations. In order, obviously, a big thanks to the White House, big thanks to President Trump for adopting this issue, having it on his radar, and pressing mightily over the past several weeks, and especially last week. Big thanks as well to our Senator Ted Cruz, and of course, Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, and to your office, Monica, just constantly making noise and sounding the alarm on this for many, many weeks. And finally, here comes the water. Can you give me, again, let's go back to, when is that get-together, that powwow? On when are they going to be revealing the details of the water distribution to us and how it's going to happen, by when, all that?
So we're expecting it very soon. The Secretary Rawlins, who is the Secretary of Agriculture, she was meeting with Mexican dignitaries late into Friday. So we were anxiously awaiting those details. And we have some discussions right now with the White House. I spent all day on Friday with our farmers and with our White House legislative team. And so those details will be revealed very soon, I'm confident. And all I can say is thank you to President Trump for acting swiftly, quickly. If you remember, Sergio, I was just in the White House about a month ago. And within 4 short weeks, we saw big movements from that White House discussion. It's one thing that I can say about President Trump is once he is focused into a subject or an area, he goes all in and he makes things happen quickly and boldly and with big courageous. And that's exactly the way it should be. America first. And that's exactly what he did in this case.
If you could tell me in less than a minute, real quick, the $280 million that have been specifically allocated for local growers, how do they apply for that? Is it Ag Department, or how do they go about trying to get some of that help?
So it's going to go through the state of Texas. The money came to the state of Texas in a block grant, okay. And Commissioner Miller, Sid Miller, is actually distributing those funds, and the farmers can contact my office with the specifics on how to get to the funds that are due to them. Congratulations, Monica. Thank you for you and your staff, all the hard work, and everybody else involved in finally resolving, at least for this cycle, this massive water debt that Mexico had with the U.S. And touch base with us on when all the details are coming up. Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Thank you. Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz.